Or we'll die trying. Sounds good.
Should we watch oh, shit.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
is it really it? The beginning.
From the NHRL studios in Norwalk, Connecticut, this is Behind the Bots, the podcast that brings you the stories of the people behind the bots. I'm Chris.
I'm Luke.
I'm Lindsay.
I'm Brandon. Started off strong. There's supposed to be a Kyle than me.
Kyle's on mute. Yes.
It's also
This is
audio.
classic Kyle. I'm just gonna say that. All right.
Interesting.
I just can't figure out how to create a video ninja link. So here we are with just my audio. Sorry, guys.
You gotta hit us with a really good, and I'm Kyle.
And I'm Kyle.
Yes.
And today on the podcast, one last AMA before we say goodbye.
We'll wrap up the show with this week's installment of Robots Around the World. If you like our show, soon to be Brandon and Jake's show, then please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, TuneIn, CastBox, Player FM, and Podbean. You probably can't follow us on Facebook anymore because these are some Gen Zers who I don't think use Facebook, but tell a friend. We really appreciate your support.
And for the Combat Robotics event calendar for the week of Monday, April 14th. There are 6 events this week in Washington, Texas, Indiana, Pennsylvania, and the UK. Starting in the UK, if you happen to catch this episode when it comes out on Wednesday, they'll be fighting antweights at a cybersecurity conference at Lancaster University in Lancashire later today. This weekend, Robo Dojo is back in action Saturday at the Sutton Grange Farm in York, where they'll be fighting 12-pounders. On over to the US, where students at Washington State University in Pullman will be fighting ants, plastic ants, and beetles at their school on Saturday. In Texas, they'll be fighting fairies, ants, and beetles at a library in North Richland Hills, just outside Dallas, on Saturday. In Indiana, Purdue University's Combat Robotics Club is hosting a competition Saturday at their campus in West Lafayette, where they'll be fighting ants and beetles. And finally, students at the Pennsylvania College of Technology will host Swords Easter Batch 2025 at their campus on Saturday in Williamsport, where they'll be fighting ants and beetles. If you're an NHRL fan, we hear that fan favorites Positively Hysterical, Bagheera, Anubis, and Ghastly are on the roster this weekend in Pennsylvania. And that's it for this week's event calendar. Get details on these events and more at robotcombatevents.com, buildersdb.com, and bristolbotbuilders.com. After the break, our final AMA.
There's supposed to be music, but we don't have the sound.
We don't have our music.
Our voices are the music.
Yeah.
Okay. So in May 2019, Chris, Lindsay, and I got together in a podcast recording studio in Poughkeepsie, New York, to record the very first episode of Behind the Bots. I remember it as clearly as it was like yesterday. I feel like we knew so little at the time. We were totally unknown fans. It was really funny, a couple of weeks after we put out our first episode, second episode, third episode, the secret BattleBots captains chat started asking around about us, and somebody vouched for us, and then we started getting interviews, which was pretty big. And now, 6 years later, the podcast has become such an important part of our lives. The show just has been hugely influential. It introduced us to Kyle, who's become an amazing friend and partner in crime. It took us to BattleBots, first as fans and later as pit crew members on teams. It got us in the door at very early NHRL, where we've called thousands of fights now at this point. And most importantly, it allowed us to meet you. So it's funny, I always say this, but a typical episode of Behind the Bots, at least in the pre-Brandon, pre-Jake era, gets about 1,000 downloads. And I swear to God, I've met all 1,000 listeners in person. So yeah, meeting you has been the best part of the podcast. Coming to NHRL, meeting people who say hey, I've been listening for a really long time and I made the trip out to come to NHRL and meet you in person is just huge. We've made amazing friendships, and those are gonna last beyond our time on the pod, our time at NHRL. And it has just been this hugely enriching thing for me, and I know that I speak on behalf of my co-hosts when I say, yeah, you've been the best part of the show. So you're probably wondering, why are you quitting? Everything is great. Our reasons are many and they are nuanced, but bottom line, we are not dying. We're not going away. We're just opening up a new chapter for us in the sports. So you're going to see us at more events on the East Coast. We're going to compete as builders. We might even start our own competition at some point. So yeah, those are all kind of options that are on the table for us. We are really, really excited about the next chapter of the show. The show is transforming into something new with Brandon and Jake. They are young, they are smart, they know a ton about combat robotics, they know more about the sport than we do, and I am so looking forward to seeing where they take the show and turn it into something new and even cooler. So I am really, really excited for chapter 2 of the show. So in that spirit, what I'm going to do is turn over the microphones to Jake and Brandon, who are going to lead our final AMA. I'm going to say just like in advance, the AMA format is incredibly self-indulgent, and I apologize. Like, didn't know how to like go out on the show other than like turning it over to the fans because like we love you so much, and like if you have questions, I guess. I don't know. Like we're grieving. Let's grieve together. So like, yeah, Brandon and Jake, take it away.
Can I ask a question before we go into the AMA? Do you
Okay.
remember your first time meeting Brandon and then I guess meeting me too? Because
Yeah.
I
Oh my God,
definitely
yeah.
remember my first time meeting you guys, and that was a big deal.
1,000%.
Okay.
1,000%. So like, I've talked like in the past about meeting Brandon because it was a hugely influential moment in my life and my career as a fan and career as a combat robotics super fan and announcer. So we were at the Franklin Institute and like this was a NERC event, and this was the kind of infamous event where like there was a big lipo fire, and they just like kind of cleared out the Franklin Institute, and I was just a fan. Like I was on the other side of the stanchions, and looking kind of lost. And I really, really wanted to go into the pits and talk to builders. And Brandon was the first builder who came up to me to introduce himself. And I was like, "Hey, listen, we've got this tiny little podcast. We've put out like maybe 5 episodes or something. Like, do you think you could show me your robot?" And he was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And he like brought me back, introduced me to his brother, and like showed me the robot, and like kind of took me through all of the different pieces of it. And it was like the warmest introduction you can possibly have to the sport. Like he didn't know who I was. I was nobody, and just sat down and showed me literally everything and spent a ton of time, and it was amazing. So yeah, Brandon was the first builder that I really met and talked to, which was huge. And for Jake, I mean, like, it's so much more recent, Like, I remember Friday night.
3 years ago.
That's recent history, all right? Like,
It is.
Dang.
It's back in the eye, really.
Wow.
yeah, listen, Brandon's been building, like, probably, Brandon, when did you start building?
It is 2010, so this is year 15.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Friday night.
Yeah, Brandon's an old head in this sport.
Friday night, like, I'm up in the pits. And Jake is bouncing around like Tigger, you know what I mean? Like just like so stoked, like just like a bundle of energy and so confident in the robot. Like that's the big thing that I remember. It was like just this like
Oh no.
incredible, just like unshakable confidence. And listen, I've met every kind of builder now at this point, and Jake was very much the like, I could tell from talking to you, it's like, I put a lot of time and thought and energy into this robot, and that means it's going to do well tomorrow, you know? And after that first event, like, I was talking to you Saturday night, like afterward, and it was like, I could tell like you had that like look in your eye, like I have been bitten by this and I'm definitely coming back. And like that was so cool. And like to see the birth of Maximizer and like to just see all of your thought that went into the design and continues to go into the design is so cool. So yeah, no, absolutely. I couldn't think of two better people to turn the show over to, honestly.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Thank you much.
Yeah.
And so I guess actually with that, so Jake, you get the first set of questions, and I'll go after you.
Okay. I will tackle. All right. The first set of questions is from Matt Lantry. Matt Lantry wants to know, what's the one thing you hope Brandon and Jake will keep going from the original podcast team? So what, I think we have a lot of ideas for like the continued objectives of the show, but what is the most important thing that Brandon and I need to keep up?
I'm happy to jump on this one. So, obviously over the course of several years, we've learned a lot of more technical knowledge. When we started, we were all kind of novices to what exactly is happening inside of these robots, inside of the cage. And so like we were always like I would say that we were a pretty good vessel for like putting this into terminology that anyone with any expertise level could listen to. And so like we created this really kind of important top of the funnel representation that like I think led to a lot of people getting drawn more into the sport who were just on the outside. At least a few times a year up in the pits at NHRL, I'd meet a builder, just met him for the first time, and they would say, one of the reasons why I'm here right now is because I was a fan. I didn't think I could do it. I listened to the podcast. I thought I could do it, and now I'm here. Look at this thing that I built. And so, like, maintaining that big net, and allowing people to kind of break that wall of getting into the sport, welcoming them in, but giving them like the kind of the high level overview to get started, make it not seem too intimidating. But now, like with Jake and Brandon, you both can you can now take it a step further than we ever could. You've seen my robots. Anyone who's new to the sport could build my robots, but like you to have a technical prowess and understanding and acumen that can help push even people that are kind of maybe early tenure in the sport to something great. But maintaining that top of the funnel to get fans to be able to be confident enough to open the door and join the sport, that's important too.
The top of the funnel. That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah. The one thing I hope you guys keep doing is I hope you guys keep asking people just about their lives, their personal lives, the stuff that they don't talk about when they're at the competition. Luke kind of started this with the theory that robot builders really care about their lives. They want their lives to be awesome. They want to do awesome things. So we have always learned like really cool stuff about people's personal lives outside of combat robotics in our interviews. And digging into that's become some of the most fascinating content over the years of like finding out that Matt Spurk is not actually an Imagineer at Disney, but a friggin' rocket scientist right now. Stuff like that where it was like, oh, wow, okay. That is the kind of the bread and butter as far as I think when it comes to interviewing the people who are high level in this sport. They're all so cool, even outside of this sport.
This might seem like a dumb question, but what do you guys do?
What we do? We have to ask that
I don't
question.
know what you all do. Like I feel like most people know you as the announcers from NHRL and like nothing. What do you guys like? What's your thing?
Yeah, like what are you sailing off to into the sunset?
Yeah.
I'll start. So I was a live event production manager when I first started this, so I have a lot of knowledge of like electricity and engineering and automation and all of that. But now, since the pandemic, I sell roofs and solar panels and backup battery systems for houses. And it's a great job because I see my kids a lot and make about as much money without any of the stress. And it's a lot better. So yeah, I do that. And I'm still going to be announcing at NHRL as like my little side gig. So that's what I'm doing.
Good, Father Kyle. Love to see it.
Yep. Yeah.
Kristen Lindsay?
Let's see. I started my career in education nonprofits and did museum education. Then I went back to school for design. I now work as a content designer for IBM. So I try to take complex things and make them easier to understand, whether that is through video or through the product or whatever it might be. It's interesting uh, and fun sometimes. But it's a good challenge, and while I guess I won't be announcing at NHRL in the future, I we have a lot of stuff going on elsewhere. I don't know, should I get into that now or?
Who knows? There might be a question
Yeah, I
that's in
think
that
there's a
vein.
question, so I'll wait for the question. But
True. You need to
yeah,
stay on stream a little longer. That's the key. Had to keep pulling them along that chain.
you gotta hook them and then just keep them on.
Hi, my name is Chris. Outside of being a dungeon master, the father of two incredible dogs, the husband of the incredible Lindsay, my career started in television. I was an intern on the hit television show Battlestar Galactica. And then when the writer strike happened in 2007, I had to get another job. And so I have had a very strange resume from wedding photography, printing, entertainment photography on Hollywood Boulevard, all the way back to New York City into marketing, and then working with executives in design. And now for the last several years, I've been at IBM, where our original podcast was founded at the IBM Studios Poughkeepsie.
Yeah, longtime listeners will remember that from the call line at the very beginning.
And for those out there with some deep mainframe power or storage systems knowledge, I am the manager for IBM Redbooks, which are comprehensive content books about IBM technology that gives people a point of view perspective of what our technology can do within a customer's infrastructure.
A lot of
Really?
communication I'm noticing between all of it. So it's automatically feeds pretty well into like the podcast idea. So definitely see why I could keep going. And then the ever strange Luke. What about yourself?
I started my career as a newspaper reporter, so yeah, did that for like 8 years. Did a short stint as a radio reporter, so got some broadcasting experience. And then I started a startup, so started a consumer tech startup, raised some money, ended up selling it, then went into big tech, so worked at Facebook and other kind of like large companies. Um, and currently I am a writer for a advertising like technology startup, fairly large one. Like we deliver hundreds of millions of ads every day. And I have a creepy and mysterious side hustle that kind of sends me all over the world that I can't talk about. So that's the other thing. Um, so yeah, that's me.
Okay. How many kidneys this week? Maybe 5, 7? Something like that, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean demand is high, so and you have to extract them like pretty quick and get them on a helicopter. So yeah, other than that,
Back alley surgeon Luke Stengel.
my
Wow.
mysterious side hustle. I my partner, Chris's sister. So Chris is my brother-in-law, and Lindsay is my sister-in-law through marriage. We just bought a second house outside of Tokyo. So I spent the last week in Japan. I am currently at my creepy side hustle in Washington, D.C., and I will be flying back to Japan on Thursday. So got that whole kind of thing going on, which is pretty exciting.
Happy you're stateside for a bit. Glad you can hop on.
Yeah, I'm on the same time zone as you guys, so that's great.
Woo.
What do you do, Brandon? I guess.
What do I
Can we
do?
keep going
A good
around?
question, Jake.
Yeah.
I guess we're going in a circle then. Okay. So I'm an aerospace engineer. So that means that I do things that relate to aerospace, namely that I work for Eaton Corporation. So they're basically a business that has a lot of different groups and subdivisions within itself. Uh, I work in the aerospace sector, obviously. I work in the static seals, particularly of that. So the way you can think about it is if someone, let's say Boeing, has an airplane that has to fly, and they need to make all of their connections inside of it. It's like an airplane engine, don't want it to leak, or the little fuel lines within it, et cetera, et cetera. So what you do is you go to my company, my branch especially, and they'll say, hey, we want to make a new engine. We have this much gap that we're willing to give, and we need it to handle this much force, this much pressure, this much temperature for this long, like how many service life and all that. And so then I take that information and I work with them and create a static seal, which is basically just a piece of aerospace material like Inconel or other fancy ones. And then we shape it to just the right size where it's able to hit all their requirements, and then we give it to them. And so it's always interesting because that can be used in many more ways than just in aerospace. But at the same time, that also means that you get some variety of like almost government to just not government at all related stuff. So like it's like a modern example of this is uh, when a company like let's say Honeywell, they make like the M1 Abrams, or I think they do, and like they're making like a tank stuff. They can make all of the parts that go into a tank, like the engine and all that kind of stuff, but we just make the little bit that goes into it. But it's also like a really, really important bit that someone else could come along, let's say Boeing, and they could be like, hey, we also have just so happen to have like the exact same diameter thing because also standard aerospace material and standard aerospace application. And we're like, cool. So now we have a part that exists for both an airplane and a tank all at the same time for the same piece. And so people get to apply that in many, many ways. And quite frankly, we don't know how many ways. But at the same time, it means that I'm constantly in the sphere of engineering, at least. And because my components are like one part that gets sort of modified into one thing and not like an assembly like a robot is, it means that while I'm still doing engineering, I'm more worrying about the technical business side about it and less so the heavy design side. So that's part of why even though I work in engineering, I still have like all this mind space for the robot stuff and don't get tired out by my job. Because if I did the same thing 24/7, I might get a bit burnt out. But because my thing's a little different, it gives me a little bit of separation there. Though at the same time, the robots are big enough to kind of like a job in themselves anyway. So really, I just have a job to pay for a job. So it's a great time. It's a great life.
It is like having two
Smart
jobs.
move.
It is like having two
Exactly.
jobs. It is. So I'll end it out.
Who are
here.
you, Jake?
So I just started. So I did my undergraduate in mechanical engineering technology because I'm not so good with the math. So I substituted my math classes for welding, manufacturing, and like casting. I went on from that to do my master's in mechanical engineering. It's up on the wall now. You can see it back there. So I did 2 more years to do my MS in mechanical engineering at UC. And now I work at UC. I work in the makerspace as a machinist and an educator. It is... I just started in January. It's very like my dream position. I'm very eager to prove myself in this position because I don't have like a machining. I didn't go to trade school. So it's kind of like I feel the need to prove myself in my career as a machinist and you know, show that I can play ball. But I love working with students and working in an educational environment because you make mistakes and it's like, because it's education, everyone is learning at once, and that's such a cool environment to be surrounded by. I really believe in the mission of the makerspace, which is to be, you know, open and accepting of everyone who comes in with ideas, and that's been a really cool experience. I cannot wait to just put my life on repeat for a couple of years and see how my skills develop. I'm enjoying my schedule right now, and I'm enjoying how much I work and the students that I'm surrounded by. For those of you who tuned into the what month is it? April stream. I went with the UC team as the fun uncle, and that was awesome. It was awesome. I love still having that connection to the UC team. And I love that Ben Haas, Valerie West, Korea Thacker, Sedona Head, Jamie and Jake Williams. Those are all names that you're going to see one day, and they are going to be big deals in the sport. I know it, and I can't wait to see what they put out. It's going to be awesome. So,
Going to be good.
yeah. We really extended the hell out of that question, by the way.
Listen, Matt, it was a good question. Thank you, Matt Lantry. You could take us, and we can milk that forever. That's what I like to see.
That one question.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Still more.
Do you want to do? I was just gonna let you. I mean, it was like a 20-minute answer. What is something you hope they can change or do better? We're gonna do everything better.
So real.
I mean, the bar is low.
I mean, I love this live streaming setup. I think it's great.
Yeah.
And I think like the video component's really interesting. I think like the perspective that you bring is going to be really important and new. Like we see it behind the desk, but you feel it next to the cage, and like that's getting even closer to the action, like for the fans. And I think like the thing I'd love to see you do different or better would be just like really kind of demystifying the sport and just being like, look, it's not as hard as it seems, and like let me talk you through it, and it's really like not that intimidating. Like you can really onboard a ton of new builders to the sport, and like the impact I think is just really, really cool. Like for us, it's still slightly mysterious. Like, I mean, I know how a robot gets put together, but like you've tried a ton more things than I have, and you can help like diagnose people's like technical issues or whatever, you know, and like kind of have that one level of, you know, deeper insights than we have. So I'm looking forward to that.
So, Brandon and I have worked pretty hard to get the video aspect of this. I think it's something we both really wanted. Do you guys have the stream pulled up, or can you see it in some aspect? Yeah. I wanted to show off. So we have scenes set up for, and I'm excited about this one.
Yeah.
Behind the Bots fight review live.
Yes.
We have the Brett zone, and we can play through it if my internet loads.
Nice.
So we can actually play through and review fights. This is the first one I picked, and I feel bad about it, Trevor.
He's
but
trying.
But
he's getting there. He'll do it. We'll get there.
But there we go. So this is definitely something that I want to utilize, like going forward. And this is something, cool. I'm pretty excited about. I'm pretty excited about the fight review. And then, of course, we have.
That's exactly
the pause screen.
That was what was going to be my answer for what I'd hope you would do better than we did, is like exactly that. Have a space for fight reviews, being able to talk about like some of the strategies that, you know, honestly, like we can't really get into or couldn't, and that I think video allows you. And I think like it'll also make people who are watching, I don't know, maybe better drivers, maybe think about strategy in new and different ways. And I just feel like it's a good service to everybody who's watching. So I'm really, really excited about that.
Yeah, that's the part I've always really wanted to get into it as well. Because one aspect I've really enjoyed about talking to I guess as a builder, knowing the builders, is a lot of the way that they will conduct their fights is implicit with sort of how they think and how they sort of go with it. Like I know, like for one really easy example, I know back in University of Maryland, when I was raising leatherbacks, like I did not build a spinner when we were first starting up with the club. I built a lifter, And that was because I did not want to build a spinner that blows them all up. I want to make a lifter, which forces them all to have to drive tactically. And so, therefore, even if you were to watch my fights and just see how I would handle them, it would sort of tell you a bit of what I'm thinking as I'm fighting them. And I think that aspect can translate to other fights too. Because looking at HRL fights, you can see some people are just kind of like, okay, so I'm going to purposely hang back, or sometimes they'll always try to evade, or sometimes you will just sit and brawl and let bot smash things until forever. And that sort of dives into the better perspective of like what's behind the bot. It's like that person's behind the bot. And the way that they are tells you how that bot's going to be too. That's why this has a lifter on it and not just like a big old spinner. So even those kind of things gets to amplify it. And then when you get to put that, like I said before, in video form next to it, you get to sort of jog that memory in people's minds and really pull it up. And it gets to pull back some more layers in ways people probably understand. But like amongst builders, you kind of get it, especially like when you're fighting it, you really get it more. That's something I'm excited for.
He said the line. He said
He
behind
said
the
the
bots.
line.
He said the line.
Marketing. Buy the shirts, which are eventually coming, I'm sure. Possible. Sure, totally.
Oh my god, I can't wait to buy a Behind the Bot shirt, which we had talked about for 5 years now and have never done.
We
So
had prototypes.
yeah. Yeah.
Let's get the stream going first. Okay. He leaves it off with, it was really wonderful getting to hear you guys discuss robots, and you will be missed. Awesome.
Thank you, Matt.
All right. So then after Matt, we get a very famous shark builder, Mako builder, Julian Papazian, who writes quick questions for you guys. And I want to stare into the camera as I say this. How dare you? And then he follows up with, just kidding. Miss y'all on the podcast. But then he does ask a very serious question of, is Jake or Brandon the new Lindsay? And so now we have Lindsay here. We have to begin with that point with you. And we'll work it around the cast. But first of all, who is the new Lindsay?
Obviously,
hold
it's
on.
Brandon. Wait a minute.
Real quick,
That's
we've-
not even a question.
We've got to define like Lindsay's role, okay, on the podcast. I feel like Lindsay, you're like our emotional core. You know, you're like our heart. Without Lindsay, the podcast would be unlistenable. You know, absolutely.
Totally true.
Not sure about that. But I don't think I'm qualified to answer this question.
I think I already did, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, listen, no shade, Jake, but I think it is Brandon. I think Kyle, you've got the right read on the situation.
That's fine. I'm fine.
I had the pleasure of doing a few episodes with Brandon when you guys were all gallivanting around Asia, and Brandon's like ability to empathize with the builders and understand their pain when discussing some of the things that went wrong during some of the fights brought pure Lindsay energy to my heart, and I was like, oh, that's why this works. Got it. So yes, Brandon, you are the Lindsay as far as I am concerned, and that is a really, really good hat to be wearing. So keep wearing it.
Big fan of the hats. Thank you very much.
I'll accept it. I endorse that.
Thank you, Lindsay. I will try to wear it with pride. And then I'll follow up with the next question as well. This is from Lyndon, noted from the Bot Barons. He asks the real question, in contrast to that, who is the new Luke? We need our eternal skeptic to play off of. Lyndon, noted skeptic, wants his Luke.
Noted skeptic. I guess I can be the bad cop. That's fine. I'll be.
You're
mean.
relishing
I'll
in
be
that idea. What are you talking about, Jake? You can't wait to throw your shade out there.
That's true.
Listen, I think it's very important that there's at least one person who's terrified of robots. All right, so like, listen, this is dangerous technology. Okay, this is a new frontier. We don't know what we're doing here. Artificial intelligence with the humanoid robots just out there living in the woods, like being solar powered, coming out with, you know, in the middle of the night
live in the woods,
do their
Luke.
creepy stuff. I don't know, you know, like it can happen.
What robots?
What solar-powered robot lives in the woods?
Okay, listen. All right, I will tell you. As part of my creepy side hustle job in DC, today I listened to a
Uh-oh.
panel. Oh wait, am I? Oh, I'm still okay. All right.
No, we're just
Oh,
terrified. It's all.
we're
Yeah,
reacting.
yeah. All right,
We're
good.
just scared as all. Go ahead.
I listened to a futurist who was talking about AI and robotics, and he showed us footage of the latest humanoid robots coming out of China. It is going to become a persistent theme in our lives within the next 5 years. They have made a robot that is the same size as a person, walks, talks, has kind of like it can make its own decisions. All right, and it costs $15,000. They are cranking these things out like left and right. They listen, the one robots around the world story that we didn't do this week because we did a better one is that they rescheduled the Beijing half marathon against robots for this coming weekend. So like they have so many humanoid robots that they think that they could beat humans, and they're going to be racing, this weekend. It is a big thing. It's happening, and I don't like it. It's creepy, and I don't like it. All right, and there needs to be somebody to. We can't just embrace this, okay? Like we have to be skeptical about it. All right.
This is
I
the
implore
one
you.
point. This is the one point we'll disagree on. Is I cannot wait to welcome our robot overlords, man.
This is the first. Man,
tired of it.
go on.
I'm tired of the people. I welcome the robot overlords. So I'm willing to be skeptical, but I'm skeptical of the humans.
This is your new look.
That needs
I
to
tell
be
you,
the
this is
first
your
phrase
new.
on the
I'm
first
looking at you on the
t-shirt, by the
camera.
way.
This is
Welcome your
new
robot
look.
My
overlord.
soul is leaving my body, Jake. All right.
This is a mistake.
Okay. All right. Well, we
Yeah,
can
I will.
revoke their credentials, right? Like we could just stop the. No, I'm joking. No, it's. I don't think that we have fully grasped as people that we are. Because like we use ChatGPT to like turn ourselves into Ghibli like portraits, and like it's funny, and I get to watch this freaking AI generated cat as he's like massaging the duck, and you guys have seen this on TikTok, all right? Like I'm not the only one, all right? Like no
You
no
might be the only one, Luke.
AI is like the discovery of like the atom bomb, and like we have no idea what's on the horizon. Like in 10 years from now, all of our jobs are going to be like severely different because of AI.
Mhm.
There will very likely be humanoids working in your offices and taking care of your grandparents, and like it's just creepy. There's just stuff that's happening. So like yeah, I don't know. Watch out for it. Okay? Like maybe we don't do it. Okay? Maybe we shouldn't. All right? Maybe we should just stop. That's all I'm saying. Okay?
One thing
Fascinating.
I'm playing around with at work right now is we're getting an AI cam tool for machining, which will like generate the machining ops for you. And this is not a plug. I'm not sponsored, and it was free because it's an EDU license. But I haven't
You
played
could
around with
sponsor
it
for
too
low
much
price
yet.
and spend a lot of money.
Yeah, no, this is not the ad segment. That's not yet, but yeah, I tried to hide in blue collar, Luke, and they still found me here. So look at that. Look at what happened. We're hosed, man.
So
Sorry.
whenever I think about it, and I remember Luke's words,
I welcome it.
Whenever I see Luke's words, I just have the mental image of Cillian Murphy as Oppenheimer staring down at the scene. I remember seeing Oppenheimer, and I remember the scene he has with Albert Einstein. Sports anybody who didn't watch 1945 or lived through 1945 at all. When he says, Albert, remember our calculations about setting the world on fire? He's like, yeah. He's like, I think we did. It's like, yeah, that's Luke every day, staring at the void, more and more every day. I mean, the kidneys and the back alley surgery, one level, that's just humanity at that point. But when he sees like the Optimus robot doing the back alley surgery, that adds a level of fear to it, and that just doubles down. So really, so So what I'm saying is that now I'm Lindsay and Luke. Congratulations. You're welcome, Lyndon.
We are living
I
in a
gotta carry.
totally unregulated AI environment. AI is just completely. It's just up to capitalism. It's just up to late stage capitalism to what we're going to do with AI. Okay, like there's not a single law on the books about
No.
humanoid robots or AI or anything like that. All right, like there. Listen, in 25 years from now, we could all be completely like reliant on universal basic income because humanoid robots are out there being rented for $300 a month to take all of the jobs. Okay, every single.
Would that
job,
be so bad?
all right?
Would that be so bad?
This actually was a whole
Would
conversation.
that be so
point earlier.
bad?
That's
Yeah.
Listen,
I mean,
I
there will be
welcome
universal basic income.
our-
yeah,
I-
it could realistically play out where
Overlords.
there's no universal basic income and there's robots doing everything.
That's
for $300.
that's the reality.
Yeah, we're cooked.
No. All right. Like this is we have to be cautious. All right. This is like we are playing with fire. Okay. Like we've discovered fire and we have no idea what it does. Okay.
I need to introduce you to a Gen Z term, which is crash out, which is what you're doing right now. It's a crash out.
Yes. This
And
is why we
this
have
is
to be
what we
here. 'Cause we have
needed
to make sure crash out
as
moments happen.
as the show can, this is it, the final crash out over.
Proudly
I think
so.
humanoid
Okay.
robot.
I'm proudly crashing out.
Yeah.
Chat.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. No, that was the
Let's
key
go.
here.
The
That's why
show
we're doing this.
has
We want to make
is
sure.
Gen Z-ified. Perfect.
I think I
We're
had
doing it, Jake. We're
crashing.
winning.
Chat, I am crashing out. That is what
I had crashed out.
We
on
did
Sega
it.
Genesis.
So
We
to
did
answer Matt's earlier question
No, I had
again, this is
Crash
what we
Out
have
on
to
Sega
bring to the
Genesis.
show.
Great game.
Go ahead. Oop, talk to everybody else.
is
Very
Kyle,
fun.
is Kyle okay?
No, it's all right. We
oh,
said the voice.
Oh, I'm
line.
fine.
We
Yeah.
were making jokes about crash out.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
See, that's why we get the added benefit of video, because you can see us visually crashing out at the same time as we're
Yeah.
saying it. Because now you can see all of like the horror and dread as you like walk through what Luke's saying, reflect on it,
Yeah.
consider our own needs, and then we think to ourselves, but does that mean that I could now afford to just build more robots? And that's the question everyone's got to come back to
No,
in the
it's
end.
because our wealth is in the hands of late stage capitalists. Okay, their only constituent is the shareholders. Okay, it's not about us. Okay, we are consumers, so that we can take the money and give it to them. Okay, and they want to take more of it by not hiring us. Okay, and having robots that work 24 hours a day and just plug themselves into the wall. Okay, and like it's
How will you-
incredibly dystopian. Okay,
Unless the robots figure out the value of their own labor, and then
Unionizing.
and then they unionize and that's the vanguard party for the socialist conversion.
Is
Here's
this
the
how
thing. Okay,
You gotta-
come and check in on
The
me. in,
vanguard
like, 40
party
years.
is the AI robot revolutionary body. You have not
Look, we'd have
read
to
enough
find you, though.
Leninist theory, clearly. Luke.
Listen, I'm nearing the end of my career. Okay, like I know I'm going to be automated. It's fine. Okay, and I'm not going to do anything after this. Okay, I'm just going to be sitting on a porch somewhere, whittling or something, you know,
Whittling.
and that's fine. That's totally fine. Okay,
Yeah.
but I do worry about all the Gen Zers out there. Okay, like you're getting degrees in things that will not exist in 20 years from now. Okay.
Yes.
We're cooked, Chad.
Yes.
It's a problem.
Actively.
It's a problem.
Yes. And so I actually just want to bring up this point as well, just the note here from our good friend Maker Neko Miski, who's also a Maryland native. Seeing him in macro is very fun, and he did beat me, so next time. He did want to make this big note here. I do wonder if Brandon and Jake can keep the same level of fear-mongering and terror of dystopian robot apocalypses with whatever is highly highlighted on robots around the world. You're facing a hell of an uphill battle trying to fill Luke's shoes on the sheer scenarios that things can escalate to. And you're right. This was a statement that we just proven. And quite frankly, it's just going to be a very fun conversation that's going to end up hitting a lot of big high points, And Skynet will remember this, so we'll have to keep our words very, very careful about it because it's watching. It'll be downloaded like Ultron.
Good.
The final crash out. Thank you.
Final-
Luke. The
New
final
title of
crash
ep.
out.
The final Crash Out.
New title of ep.
Is there a bot named Crash Out?
There what? There is
there? Let me
actually
look.
Jake. You probably
I'm
allude to
pulling
that
it
a little
up. I'm
bit.
pulling it up. I'm pulling it up on the.
He's
website.
pulling it up in real time. You'll love to see it. This is why you get the
No.
visual experience
There's-
well alongside the audio. To the audio listeners, Jake is currently looking at his screen very seriously.
Yeah,
Um,
the
Looking at
setup,
the data for it.
I had to learn how to use a computer to actually run the stream, and so right now the setup is I've got stream on this side, and then I've got computer on this side. It seems to be working, but I watched so many OBS tutorials it made my head spin.
Yeah.
Oh.
So once again, that's a good example of a degree that he has to now get, because eventually we're just gonna have a robot that'll do it for us eventually,
Yeah,
and then Jake won't have to deal with OBS anymore.
yeah.
Yeah, they'll just AI generate our faces, and we'll just get the thumbs up.
How do you like that, Luke?
You don't even have to show up to the podcast. It just talks for you,
just-
and
We give it prompts, and we're just like, good, it figured us out.
I don't like
oh
it.
boy.
Or it's like Max's Road to the Dumpster 2025, or the Golden Brett 2025, and then we just have like an 8-episode series created off of that one sentence prompt.
I think
Jake
you
can
should
pull from
try
that
it.
too.
It's an interesting idea.
That could be a very terrible reality that may come our way, but at the same
gonna
time,
go
one that we can
with-
also expect. Exactly right.
Should
Exactly
we move
right.
to the next question?
Indeed, and that's all you, because
All
I
right.
just chatted for a bit.
Yeah. Okay. Is that what's here in green, or is that the next? Or the
That is-
next text block? What I
Yeah.
have
So some
highlighted?
highlights. Yeah.
Or what I've highlighted here. This is
Yeah,
the fun
so you can
part
go off
about
of that.
doing it live. Okay. Your favorite builder's favorite builder, Kikoto Mane, builder of the Power of Friendship, serial killer, and other delightful robots, writes, I've been tuning in to Behind the Bots for years, and you guys were always so much fun to listen to. The energy you brought to this amazing podcast will be missed, but I'm sure Brandon and Jake will do a good job going forward. Lord, we're going to try. My question is, what would you say the most important thing you've learned through being part of Behind the Bots?
To respect the furry community and their differences, and to appreciate them. That's what I've learned. Thank you, Luke. I appreciate you for teaching me that.
This is
Love
not
it.
the legacy that I want. All right.
The legacy you deserve.
I think the number one thing that I learned from Behind the Bots was just how really like wonderful and collaborative the people are in this sport. It was something that we had heard about at BattleBots, but not really something that we had experienced ourselves. And it's really special and unique. A huge, like, very cool thing in the community. And I hope that that like kind of keeps going as this work gets larger and larger and larger. Like, just I think it's like probably the nature of many engineering competitions, but like especially this one where like you are exploding your opponent in under 3 minutes. Just like kind of the amazing attitude that people have about that, and how if this was in the hands of different types of people, like aggro, super competitive, like people who just buy kits and have a ton of money in the sport. I don't know, like I think the vibe might be different, but like I just love the vibe. Like that's my favorite part of the whole thing. And we got to experience that on the show. We got to experience that as announcers at NHRL, and like that part's just so cool. And it's like one of those things that I just think the world needs a whole lot more of. So that was probably the coolest takeaway for me from the last 6 years.
I think the biggest thing I learned is like really more of a life lesson. Um, I personally am a person who like if I'm not good at something fairly quickly or at least show like a small amount of aptitude, then I'm gonna give up. That's not a great thing about me. Um, but through all of these years of um just talking to so many builders who have an idea and then iterate on them for years, and sometimes their first try at a robot is not very good or like not as successful as they were hoping, and then like years later qualify, win dumpsters. It doesn't happen by accident. It happens because they believed in themselves, they were driven, they were seeking something that like you don't get on your first try, and it requires a lot of patience and a lot of commitment and a lot of thought. And you as a builder don't have to do any of that, right? Like you could put it away and go play video games, and that is totally something like probably I would do if I had not been inspired by all of you. Um and so just the fact that you keep trying and then you keep grinding time and time again to get better is is a huge life lesson, and something that like I try to now apply when I'm not good at something right away. And it's really left a mark on me. So thank you to everybody who just keeps going even when you're not successful at first. I think that you are incredible role models on so many different levels. And the lessons extend beyond just like robot fighting, they extend to everyday life. And you're all inspirations, and I really mean that, and I thank you.
Yeah, now I'm kind of like in the same. I'm a cousin to this too. I would say one of the most important things that I learned from my time here in combat robotics is so when I was younger in the mid to late 90s and early 2000s, when I was in junior high and high school, it was a very conformist era. Like, you shopped here, you tried to dress like this, you watched these 5 things, right? And like anyone who kind of danced outside of that, you were shunned or you were ridiculed. And like there is this community now that embraces virtually anyone that wants to get involved and wants to compete on any type of level, whether it's like you're chasing dumpsters or you're just there to have fun. And you can be uniquely yourself in any single kind of capacity, and you could be as loud and unique as you want to be to really kind of show who you are and strut who you are. I never had that, and I'm so happy that there is like a generation that has something like this that they can gravitate to, that shows that they're smart, they're capable, they're having fun, and they get to go for something, and ultimately they're learning a backbone of knowledge that is going to help them throughout their lives. I wish I had it when I was younger, but I am so happy that there's a new generation people that have this to lean on.
I just want to expand on that. This is something that I've said to a couple people before, but like this community really feels like a form of resistance to a lot of the terrible stuff that's going on in the world right now, because it models what I think community can look like when people of all different walks of life, all different identities and backgrounds like come together and work together and collaborate and coexist and like support each other. And if the greater world community was anything like this community, like problems would be solved. The world would be a much better place. And like, I am just so proud of this community for, and I'm sure nobody is like going in thinking like I'm gonna model this behavior, because it's just who you are and that's how it comes out. And yeah, I just think like it models what this is gonna sound really corny, but I believe it. It models what the world could look like if we all gave it a shot to look like this. So thank you for again doing what you do. Sorry if that was too lofty.
This is too early in the show for me to start crying, okay? Because I 1000% agree.
So good.
Jake, Brandon, I cannot tell you how terrible it used to be. All right? Like, it was the worst. All right? And like, I just love the thing that that the builders are building, because it's built by the builders. It is led by the builders, and like, no matter what league you go to, it has the same vibe, because it's the same kind of person who's attracted to the sport, and that is why we love it so much. Like, we love all of you, and like, it's the best part of it. So yeah, just keep doing it because it's great.
That was awesome. I think a struggle, especially with the strip of students that I interacted with, both like, you know, at UC and kind of that I'm a part of as well, is like, I think there was a lot of hopelessness through COVID that was, it's kind of like you absorb that, you know, environmentally. And I think what is found through combat and through combat robotics, or really any competitive sport, is hope, and how to build tenacity and build a love for what you're doing. Personally, my competitive advantage comes from my emotional investment. It's hard to be emotionally invested when you're hopeless. And I think that this sport shows a lot of hope. The stories show a lot of hope. I think when Keziah won most recently, there was a lot of emotion behind that, because there was a lot of hope that was shown. And I think that was, you know, important for everyone in that room a couple weeks ago. But yeah, that's what I hope to be. And I hope that Brandon and I can continue to bring that energy. I appreciate that. That's very kind.
I agree.
Cool.
Such a gift.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That was an emotional question.
Warming up, man.
Sorry.
Thank you, Kokoda.
Yeah, thank you, Kokoda. Wow. Okay. I'm going to move on to the next question.
Yeah.
Master Neko oh my God. Maker sorry. Maker Neko Maker Neko Mizuki. Wow, that is hard. But I kind of have
Welcome to my panic attacks, Jake.
Wow.
Every episode,
Wowza.
I seem to just get the names.
And listen, I have a little bit of an accent, and I kind of comes out when I gotta say something hard. So there we go. Okay. Okay. She writes, I am going to miss y'all. Thank you. But you got hella great replacements. Wishing you all the best on whatever future holds. How do you feel being part of the podcast has taught you about what goes on the bot building aspect of things? Has it taught you more of what works and what doesn't work?
Yes.
You know, all right. So here's the thing. Lindsay and I, we bought a home. What was it, 8 years ago in upstate New York? I had always been kind of a tinkerer and a putterer, like my father was. He kind of taught me that, this is how you do this is how you do that. He was not extraordinary at any one thing, and I am still not either, but I remember the day that it really clicked for me. We got a washing machine that came with the house. And one day it just died. Lindsay and I, we had just kind of like started our new careers up here, and we were house poor, so we're like, oh no, we got to get a new washing machine. And I was just like, well, wait a minute, I have a makeshift robotics studio in the basement. So I ended up like taking the water pump apart and bringing it downstairs and fixing and like hot gluing in new flanges and like literally melting it back together so that I had a working water pump again. And I came back upstairs covered in grease, like, 2 hours later, and I plugged everything back in, and all of a sudden we had a working 20-year-old washing machine again. I was just like, I've learned something. I think I've really learned something here in the last few years. And it's like that, but I was terrified to ever touch electrical. I was terrified to take something apart and then not know whether or not I'd be able to put it back together. Like, that is a callus that I have definitely developed in life. And I am so glad it's there. Oh my goodness. It's helped me in so many aspects. And I thank a lot of the folks out there that have really kind of helped push me across the finish line over and over and over again whenever I've competed. So thank you. That's my emotional fixing a washing machine story.
I think something that is, and my parents are awesome. I'm not trying to be facetious. I can't come up with any better words. I think one thing that's important to learn, like when you're young, and part of the reason why I love maker-based education is that the world was put together by people no smarter than you. And so if you can kind of figure out how to manipulate and kind of push in to that fabric that things are built out of, you can start to be creative with your applications and be creative with the way that you combine materials and form in a really artistic way. I hope that message can get out. And I think the best way to do it, I'm a fan of any competitive sport, but competitive robotics and combat robotics specifically just shows that just the strength of materials, the ductility of materials in a really concrete but abstract way. You can apply things very abstractly, or you can apply them very concretely. And it's very self-motivated and self-driven in how you figure out the best way to do things. So
love that.
Yeah.
What do you think,
I'll
Brandon?
even add to that a little bit too, because in one of the ways, even just like the podcast is being helpful with it, is sort of as I was alluding to earlier, when you understand not only like the method a person may do it, but sort of like all that goes with it, you end up seeing that kind of connection going into it. It's like if you have a person who has a very certain style of how they want to design or build a robot, that goes in how they build a robot. And then I sort of been able to back read that. It's actually one of the curses of like being a mechanical engineer. It's like the more you understand how things are made, the more you can see how they're made and just like sort of what's sitting out there. And it can both impress and terrify you at the same time. Like there have now been multiple times where I've gone to Hershey Park and I was like, see a roller coaster. I'm kind of like, those are pretty good bolts. I trust that weld, but honestly, this section kind of rusted. Like I mean, I get the general idea of what's going on here, but like, do I trust it enough? I know my brother, he actually showed me a document, I think it was Defunct Land, which is something, excuse me, like, I think it's a channel on YouTube that covers a lot of like roller coasters and other sort of amusement park stuff as well. And as they tell you the story of this personality who made something, you get the idea of like, oh, I see why they made it this way. Like why wooden coasters differ from steel coasters and why all that kind of applies with it. And as you get to understand, like Jake was already mentioning, that sort of fabric of the industrial reality that we get to live in, we get to therefore appreciate all the more of like, oh, if I can understand this, I can interact with it. If I can apply it, then I can use it. Like when you go out and you can see like how they've made these, like I said before, roller coasters, like formed steel twists and loops and all that kind of stuff. You're like, okay, so that means that steel is processed and can be designed in such a way where this can happen. That makes a lot of sense because then it's something you get to build off of. And so when you get to the robots, it's kind of like, oh, that means someone else had to think about it in this way. And if something like as unique as a robot can sort of reflect that, then everything gets to reflect that. It's like a washing machine becomes something you get to look at and be like, well, when you think about it, isn't it just a spinner in the end? And if you can sort of like mentally break it down of like, oh, it's using the same basic principles that all of these machines do, then I can interact with it. There's definitely some parts that are different. Like, for example, we can look at a washing machine and we probably don't consider our robots of like, spraying water and then mixing it up into like a clean soup. But at the same time, you can think, well, it has to actuate, like it has to have some sort of power switch that turns it on and off, has to have some sort of input or control that tells it to do something like that. And then as you consider all the different like parts of the cleaning cycle, you're like, oh, someone made it that way. And I can understand that logic more because I've had to do the same thing making my robots. And I think that was just one of those beautiful parts of obviously mentioned like engineering school and all that kind of stuff, but even the more you to realize it in the intimate setting of fighting robots, that also applies too. And getting to hear from other builders talking about that's been great fun. So that's just me as a viewer listening to Behind the Bots podcast, even my background and all that. So I get to really enjoy it.
Oh, that's really nice.
Next question.
Keeping the show going. That's you, Jake.
Where were we? I'm sorry. Well, I'm reading chat at the same time. It's a lot to keep up with. Okay. We were.
So Jevin's next.
Jevin Woodrow.
Yeah.
Robot Rebellion host, RoboCast co-host, Megalodon builder, and event organizer extraordinaire, Jevin Woodrow writes, firstly, congratulations on your 6-year run. I did not realize it was 6 years old. And thanks for having me on solo at one point, and of course, as part of the RoboCast crew. It's always fun to hang with you folks. So many memories of BattleBot antics, armchair producing, and even though I wasn't there for it, enjoying the hot takes. Luke, that's all you. My question is, and if you have time, an answer from each of you, if you could go back in time and tell your past selves one piece of advice for your journey so far, what would it be? Much love to all 4 of you. There's 5 of us. I hope to see you in chat with you soon. No, I'm kidding. It's the 4 of you. All right, I guess there's 6 of us. Oops.
Man.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, minus Meat Boy. Okay.
Minus me. Yeah.
Sorry, that's the inside joke. Okay, cool. Yeah. So, what is advice that you give your past selves? What would an advice that you'd give us? Because we're younger.
Each of you, 4 of you. Each 4 of you. Everyone goes in line.
From my very first job out of high school, I should have been putting away 10% into a retirement account. Okay.
Yeah.
There's still time for you guys. Okay. All right.
10%.
Like I've had to make it all up in my late 30s, early 40s by selling black market kidneys, okay, out of a van in DC. And it's been great. Business is booming. But just put away 10%. All right, it's fine. Get the company match. It seems totally ridiculous at the time, but you're gonna like it. So there you go.
That was solid advice.
Thank you, Luke.
Is that 10% of a paycheck, or is that?
Yeah, pre-tax.
Pre-tax.
Yeah, good.
Don't forget your new HSA.
Yeah,
so
HSA
true.
is good. Yeah.
HSAs
Roth IRAs.
I have Roth. Yeah.
Yeah, Roth is great. Yeah. Oh.
This is finance behind the bots now.
Yeah.
Behind the
That's
retirement.
working out great right now, dude. Let me tell you. That's
great.
Yeah,
I also
that feels
suggest
great to
a,
have right now, dude.
What you want is a thick mylar bag and lentils. They will last a long time, especially with some kind of dehydration pouch and an oxygen absorber. We're talking lentils on the shelf for 25 years.
That's more my
When
you're gonna
society
need 'em.
collapses, okay, you're gonna want to make
When?
sure that your rifle has a common caliber. Okay, all right, like
Yeah.
you've got these super exotic calibers. Yeah, okay, great. You can blow a hole in the side of a Dodge Ram or something. But like you're gonna run out of that ammunition. You gotta like
Keep it
stick
simple.
to the common stuff. Okay, like I think. If we're all going to be roaming the roads, in 3 years from now, I'd say, listen, 12 gauge shotgun, it's perfect. Okay, all
Yep.
right.
Yep. 12.
Yeah.
He's totally right. You should go stick with the 22s, stick with the 9 millimeters. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? 30-06
22?
at the really exotic end. That you don't want to
Yeah.
go crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So take another 10% on top of the 10% that's going to your retirement account, and just start buying beans and bullets. All right, like there
Ammo.
you go.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And make sure you
What
get
if
the
that
green.
is,
Make
what
sure
if
you
that
guys
is
get
my
the green
retirement
tip.
plan? Then I
Yeah.
can put 20% in. No big deal. If that is the
Yeah.
retirement plan.
I'm just going to go ahead and say this. Make sure you get the green tips because that's what you need for the armor piercing capability to get through the robot's hull. So just
Of
get
course.
the green tips.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should I also, so I'm looking at Phenomenon here, should I also consider ways to weaponize its hub motor as melee options, just in
Yeah.
case?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you should
Wouldn't
bring the
hurt.
robot with
Can't
you
hurt.
out on the road. All right,
If you
just
like
spin that
also
thing up.
installed like a doggy door on your front door so that it can actually exit your home and attack on your premises. That's
So true.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
Thanks
wish
for
I
learning
had
so
more
much. I'm
beans
so
and
glad.
more savings in my 401k. All right. I don't know. Let's see. Like on
This
the
is
robot
not a
side.
this is not financial advice. You
Yeah, we
have
have
to
to-
say
Oh, yeah.
that or we'll get sued.
This is not
Yeah.
real.
The dawn of the new era of this show getting sued for financial advice would be like not the way that I want to start out.
But you
And
know,
whatever cash you have left over at the end of the month, every month, make sure that you're investing soundly in companion bots and fart coins.
Yeah.
one way we could get perhaps better financing investing is if we're sponsored by an insert financial company here for
Yeah.
many dollars.
And then we can launch our own crypto rug pull.
Ooh.
That's the
Oh,
move right there,
yeah.
buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Behind the bots coin.
Bot coin. Yeah.
Get that bag.
Easy.
Oh, we're cooked.
This is welcome to Gen Z. Welcome to Gen Z. We're doing crypto rug pulls. And then we're gonna drop ship. That's the plan. This all the way to the top, baby. Let's ride.
That's what we ride.
We ride.
Should I attempt a more
Sound advice?
yeah. Because I feel like Jevin would appreciate a little mix.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Ourselves, one piece of advice for yourselves.
So I don't know. It kind of goes in hand with what I was saying before. I in undergrad was a history and political science major. I didn't touch math my whole life. I certainly did not know anything about engineering. Never had an interest in knowing more about it. And then BattleBots came around, and it started piquing that side of my brain. And the podcast came along, and I had severe, and to some extent still do have severe imposter syndrome. It even just going through the pits on Fridays and interviewing people, it was always very intimidating for me because everybody knows so much more about robotics from a technical standpoint than I do, and it has been intimidating, and I was never quite felt like I knew enough, but I could always stand to benefit from telling early in the podcast and just in general early Lindsay that everybody is figuring it out and nobody has all of the answers. And just because you're a history major doesn't mean that you are not capable of learning this stuff and understanding it at a higher level. And so yeah, I still have to occasionally remind myself of that and whatnot, but I think it's a good piece of advice because I'm sure there are people at home who want to learn how to build robots, and maybe imposter syndrome is keeping them just as a viewer and not as a participant. And as someone who, is on that end of it, like, it's a bunch of BS. If you are interested in it, go do it. There's no gatekeeping. This is the best community. And just go out and try it because there's no rules. Just do it.
If we're lucky, we're all imposters for 80 or 90 years and then we die.
Yeah.
Man, there you go. Guys, this is the answer we all been waiting for right here.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to add, Kyle?
No, I think they've pretty much covered it as far as all the advice goes. Oh, here's a good one. When a large portion of your audience is neurodivergent, make sure your descriptions are at least accurate to the half inch to avoid hatred over the internet.
Ooh. Critical.
Yeah, that's real. Or if you use or you mention the material they used 2 builds ago, but not the most recent build, you gotta be on top of that too.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
UHMW was
the
so
saddest
2023.
part is that we will. That the saddest part is that Brandon and I keep track of shit like that, and we know exactly. Yeah.
And
that's the saddest part is that we can.
Yeah, between Jake's videos, my blog posts, we got to keep on that. There's no way we're letting those swing by the wayside. We got to keep them locked in all times. So I guess it's just a message to future me. Keep up with the blog post as well as the Behind the Bots antics, because this will be referenced in the future episodes. I'll be in that post I read about this, and someone's going to read it and not see it there. And I will get mad at myself at minimum, and them for sure as well. So that's future me. So that's past me to future me now. So I can look back at this in 30 years and be like, dang, he was so right for that.
Is there, this question goes for you too. Is there anything that you want to tell yourself, as you're going into this, remind yourself of in the future, or something that you've learned in the past, that you wish, or that you've learned that you could tell past you? Because I feel like this question applies to you both as well.
True. That's true. Jake, you should go first.
Yeah, I want to continue to. Yeah. I will always be emotionally invested in what I am doing. My competitive advantage comes from my emotional investment. I am not a smart guy. I am not the fastest guy. I'm not the best driver. I'm not the best builder. And I'm not trying to, toot my own horn. I am the most emotional builder. I am genuinely emotionally invested to a fault in what I am doing. It is both incredibly rewarding. Some days it's incredibly depressing because if it's not going right, that sucks me down the same way that it brings me up. There are days where it sucks, and there are days where it is the greatest advantage that I have. If I had to say something to my future self, is to stay emotionally invested. And if I had to say something to my past self, those who know me personally, and I guess this is a question that I've never been asked, is why do I do this, and why do I consider that my advantage? In 2020, I was in a shooting. and I have PTSD from that. And through that experience, I felt like I lost a lot of time as a young man. I felt like I lost a lot of passion just because I was depressed in my early 20s. And being in your early 20s sucks. And, you know, I've had that conversation with a lot of young men close to me is that it sucks to be in your early 20s and you don't really have stuff figured out. And then PTSD on top of that was a lot. And I lost that emotional investment through that. And I had to regain it. And now that I have it again, I never want to lose it because it's very important to me. That's my competitive advantage. That's what I will always bring to the box. That is what I will always bring to what I am doing. Not the smartest, kind of dumb, not the best driver, but I am in it, for lack of a better phrase. So that's a little bit about my background. I don't know if that's it's kind of irrelevant to the question, but yeah, that's my background. I want to be the person that I needed when I was 21, 22 years old, because that was a pain in the ass. PTSD is rough. I still struggle with that. And I'm glad that I have a community now because part of that illness is not illness, but part of that condition is isolation and depression, and having a community that you can go to that has your back is incredible. I want that for every young man. I think our job as men is in society is to protect. Part of it is to protect and to be that force is incredibly valuable and incredibly positive. And I hope that, you know, can guide someone out there who might need it. So that's who I'm trying to be day to day.
Thank you for sharing that, Jake. I think, you know, it's very brave to
Thank you.
put yourself out there, and I think equally impactful because there are so many people who are going through things that, like, you know, they don't share publicly, or they are facing silently alone. And I think there's just also a lot of people who maybe don't have direction that are looking for it. And I think that this is an incredible avenue to pursue that. And, you know, for you to be up here and say that, you know, this has given your life, you know, something to look, I don't know how to phrase it, but like that this has given your life like an additional kind of meaning to work towards. Like, I think that's what a lot of people are looking for, and that makes you an incredible, you know, role model to, I think, a lot of specifically young men, but also a lot of people out there who are going through stuff and need to see that, you know, people come out the other side in a healthy way and can, you know, commit to something that brings them joy.
Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a story.
And being able to do it in a way where you're not hiding the things that, you know, are flaws or things that have happened or caused trauma, but you're embracing it and you're letting it mold you into somebody that is more resilient and can provide like a refuge to those around them. That is true character.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you. Let's go to the next question.
Thank you. Thank you, Jake.
Thank you all. No, thank you all for letting me share that. I appreciate that.
I will say quickly, we've hit the dreaded 90-minute mark. Should we start going faster with these questions?
How much more do we have? oh my gosh, we have 11
Yeah.
pages.
What I like to do is I just like to read them faster.
We're
and then maybe
we're
we
on
can answer them
page
faster.
for those of you in the audience, we're on page 5 of 11.
This is why when we did hot takes last year with Ashley, we had to separate it into 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Wowza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops.
Let's speed
Yeah.
it up.
It is one of those
do you
delights that
just
we
wanna
get from it.
Pick some good ones.
I can blitz a couple of them real fast.
Yeah,
That's not
yeah,
to
you
say
do.
that. That's
We can
not
do
to
3
say that any
pages
of our
of
others.
rapid fire.
Yeah, we'll just answer quick.
One person,
Rapid
one
fire.
answer.
Yeah.
Try to make it funny.
The first questions were good though. Like I don't feel
Yeah.
like we wasted
Yeah.
any time. I mean,
Listen,
hopefully this is interesting.
Listen, I organize the questions. I know what I'm doing. Okay, all right.
Okay.
Like we've entered the rapid fire section. This is great.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, it always tends to happen. I remember even doing that with Kyle as well. That would come up as well. We have like tons and tons of questions. Fun times. It's what happens in people who care and have really good reflections and people then willing to share about it.
Yeah.
That being said, Big Cookie Builder and Triton team member Shay Waffles Johns writes, and I want to make this very, very clear. I'm still noodling on the best question I can ask, but in case my attention span misses the deadline before I have the perfect question, I want to make sure I put something out there to express how much I appreciate your efforts. One of my favorite questions, one about people who go out and make and do things, is why do you do it? Closely related to the pessimistic, why bother? Optimistic, why not? And so, why do you talk? I'm glad y'all took the initiative to put this energy into amplifying builders' stories and perspectives. You're each wonderful, multifaceted gems. I'm excited to see what's in store for you next, whatever the genre. So I think that's a good sort of summarizing all those different parts of it. Thank you, Shay.
Love
So
you,
then,
Shay.
So then we continue as well to HRL head referee and Jackalope builder, Glenn McGuire, who, again, I had to sort of fly through it really, really fast a little bit just because of the different things that we have going on here. But what have been some of the most memorable, wild, fun facts about builders that you've had on? So what's sort of one fact that you can think of where it's like, okay, this is really, really cool, and I'm glad that we're able to discover or think about this? And we have to keep it short. It is difficult, but got to think of at least one together. What's one really big idea, one really cool fact that we learned they want to share about? For those who are waiting in the audio,
when I
we're
get
This one that wasn't designed to be rapid fire.
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah, when
I know.
I
It
get
was
this
like,
question, I think back to our interview with Matt Burke, and because it felt like a lightning bolt in the conversation, because I kind of LinkedIn stalk people, and as I'm building the questions, and I saw that he was a Disney Imagineer, so we asked all these questions about that because I'm just fascinated by the Imagineers. Like when I was a kid, I really wanted to be an Imagineer, and his dad worked on animatronics at Disney, and like he was like a ride mechanic. So he'd ride all the rides like every single night, and he'd have these test dummies with sensors in them and everything. It was just fascinating. It was really, really fascinating. And so we get to the end of it. We're just talking about Disney. Like, I'm just like, I'm loving it. I'm just like soaking in like a sponge. And I'm like, okay, great. All right, well, let's ask some questions about the robot. And he's like, oh, well, do you want to know about like my current job? And I was like, oh, yeah, what's your current job? Because like he hadn't updated his LinkedIn at all. He's like, oh, yeah, I work at NASA, right? And I'm just like, oh. It was like, it was like I got struck by lightning. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, this is amazing. We just totally riffed on NASA, and like got all of that story. And it was like so cool just to kind of like open up that little treasure chest and see it. Because like on BattleBots, Matt Burke is doesn't talk about NASA, doesn't talk about Imagineering, doesn't talk about engineering at all. He's just like family guy who really likes pirates, and it's like, oh, I'm from Florida. I'm here with my kids. I like pirates, and it's like, I asked him later, I was like, why why do you like frame it like that? Why don't you talk about NASA? And he's like, well, I want to make the sport really accessible. I don't want you to watch BattleBots and to think, oh, I don't work at NASA. I can't do this. Like I want you to see like your family when you see my family. And it's like, oh, amazing. So yeah, I think that's a big part of it.
Yes.
Okay, next
Yes.
question.
Rapid fire.
Yes.
Fire. What is your
Rapid
This
fire.
is from Thomas Carroll. What is your favorite Amish hot pocket flavored, and when is the Zuparties meetup? Zuparties. I don't.
Zuparties.
Zuparties. Hey, when is that? I don't know what that means. When's the meetup? Hey.
Eh.
E.
Maybe this summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zaparties meetup. So Zaparties is it's in West Haven, not too far from NHRL, and it is as someone who has lived in New York City, traveled to Italy and Sicily, and I've eaten a lot of pizza. I have my own pizza that I just created in front of me right now. Zaparties it's the best. It's the best.
Get Fred Moore there. What are your all's favorite birds? Jonathan Clark.
Billy.
What up, Jonathan? Also, I know Jonathan Schultz, big birder, big bird fan. I would say that my favorite everyday bird that you'll see out and about, usually at your bird feeder, is and it has a silly name, just deal with it. The tufted titmouse. It's very cute. It has a little mohawk. They're very tiny. They will eat seeds out of your bird feeder and like put it between their feet and then like peck at it with their beaks. It's very cute. Yeah. I also love the eastern bluebird. Those are very pretty, and whenever I see one in the yard, I get very excited. They're a little more rare. Not super rare. Like you'll see them around, but
My spirit bird is, of course, the flamingo because it's the most fabulous bird. So, yeah,
Amen.
flamingos. Great.
Dang.
A flock of flamingos are called a flamboyance.
It's perfect for me.
My favorite bird is what are the ones that you always see on construction sites again? A crane.
Huh?
Ah.
Yeah.
Boo.
Oh.
all right, we know who's going to be the Brandon, and we know who's going to be the Lindsay, but who is the punny Chris?
Every guest we bring on, we have to find
That-
it.
Yeah,
It has to be. Yeah, they have to bring in
pun.
guest Chris's.
Yeah.
Something.
You got to find
can't.
someone with like big uncle energy. All right.
Need a different
Give it like 2 months. You're going to be up to 4 co-hosts. All right.
probably. Gotta find an unk.
Just a specialty.
Need a good unk.
Boo. They're booing you in
Boo.
chat, Chris. Good.
Uh-oh.
Good.
Good.
Live reactions to the
Yes.
jokes that you
Yes.
don't get this on
Yeah,
recording.
right.
Huh?
Yeah, you're not used to the feedback, huh? The heat.
Two can play at that game.
But
You want to do the next two, Brendan?
yeah, I got it.
Okay.
NHL referee, Bloodsport team member, and Phantom bodybuilder Nick Buchholz wants to know if you could get behind any bot, which bot would it be and why?
That sounds very unsafe, Mr. Buckholz. I don't want to get behind any of them, like at all. But I guess if I did have to get behind one, it would have to be one that doesn't move. So I don't want to throw any shade, but maybe one of the toddler terror bots or something like that. That'd be all right.
This is
The
the
answer
most
to this one is so
disturbing answer
simple.
to this question, Kyle.
It's a tale of three hams.
Oh yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, tail of three hams. That's the safest spot to get behind. It's a
More
big old
accurate
wall
answer.
of spinners
Yeah.
that doesn't go backwards. It's an easy win.
Can I just say, like, that one match is so infinitely rewatchable. It is so funny. Chris and Luke, you announced the hell out of that. Like, it is so hilarious. and it makes me laugh every time. And I feel like it is to me, the pantheon of top matches across all NHRL.
So fun.
It's Aaron's answers to the interview questions afterward that really are like just the
Drive it up.
frosting on the
Absolutely.
cake, you know?
Comedic genius, timing,
Amazing.
everything. It was all there.
Yeah.
I just love it. There's just nothing quite as satisfying as a tale of three hams, which is why we need to see more of them, of course. Thank you, JMO, Aaron, and Zoe, and
bring
more.
it back. Bring back Apricot. Bring back Tale of Three Hams.
Listen, the people know what they want, okay?
There's
All I'm
two
saying.
bots we want to see in 2025, and that's Apricot and 12s and Tale of Three Hams.
Listen, we've never interviewed Aaron Fan, so I feel like he would be a good get for one of your episodes. Not them, you know, I'm walking away. It's up to you, but
yeah.
Man, there we go. We've been set up, Jake. I love it.
I was reading through his blog post from like, I think it was like 1996 of him like building an axial flux motor for his 3-pounder, and it was just insane. And like I'm reading through it, and then it just like blows up instantly. I'm like, this is an awesome blog post, because it's like I would have never written about it, but like he did all the steps and like custom building this thing, and it just like went 0-2. It was just like awesome. It was the best blog post I've read through. I love
this is why we need blog posts, because you need moments like that where like what's happened, crazy stuff, and it was recorded for all time.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
And it's
That's how we do
like
this.
his WordPress blog from like 1993 or something.
Gotta love it.
I don't know
Gotta
how
love
old
it.
he is. Just shot in the dark.
At least 97.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. So we followed this as well with a question from noted Copperhead captain and Pepe Sylvia builder and terrifyingly fun guy, Luke Quintal. Copperhead magnitude, who wins?
Copperhead.
Yeah, Copperhead easily.
Yeah.
That was a unanimous Copperhead. Oh, I don't think so.
Wow.
You who get to watch on the stream, you see the magnitude shirt waving around. Chris is waving it around. He knows. He knows what the people want.
Has more fight time
Because
than the
this
box, right?
T-shirt hides my full chest Copperhead tattoo.
Pop.
In my headcanon, Copperhead is just like put onto a shelf for 11 months and then just taken out, and they just like charge it up. And they're like, okay, whatever, you know, listen, we don't need to bring anything fancy. Let's just bring the robot, and if it dies, whatever, it's fine, you know. And like it just keeps going, you know, season after season. So yeah, I don't know. Magnitude is like it's like a laser spaceship rocket thing, and it's like very beautiful and intricate. And I feel like Copperhead is just like a 1994 Toyota Camry, you know, that just keeps going.
Toyota Camry. Let's go.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
You see, that's the thing. I remember when Rob Callen posted the video on how he like aged the rust on Copperhead. I'm like, oh, so it's actually too clean. We have to make it look a little bit more rustic, so that way it gets both the vibe across, and because it couldn't do it naturally, because the robot is just living its most beautiful life ever. It's just having a great time. We have to give the impression that we have to wear it down, because Copperhead actually never gets worn down. It just continues to be.
Camry's
Truly immortal stuff.
It was crazy in the last season of BattleBots, like actually seeing that robot take some damage, and like seeing Luke Quintal like genuinely shocked at like what occurred to that robot, because it just had never happened before. And I really want to shout out Chad and Luke for inviting us onto the team.
Yeah. What a ride.
I mean, it was not the worst thing being invited to join a BattleBots team that then like took fourth in the season.
And we helped.
We made the little snakes. And the whole experience was really incredible. And Luke, I can see you making faces. But
Imagine an Airbnb where everything is wet. Everything. Or like at the end of the first night, I realized we have no water in this house. I have to drive to get us like a crate of water. Okay? People were drinking out of the sink, no cups, just head under the sink. Okay? If there was a flat surface, there was a bed on it. Okay? Like it was bleak.
Hey, BattleBots is so good. Aren't you excited?
I was afraid to park the rental car outside because the car across the street when I came out of the Airbnb was up on blocks, okay? And I was like, I didn't pay for the supplemental insurance because I just assumed we were staying at a Vegas Airbnb, all right?
Nothing sounds like more fun than BattleBots without a robot. Like I don't want to. I don't
Honestly,
want
though.
to take a robot. Like I think like when I first like brought like Max, people were just like, oh, turn it into a 250. It's like, no, like I want to go party in Vegas and watch robots fight. Actually, that's a little more my speed, right now at this juncture. I mean, one day let's do a 250, but come on.
I will say
That's what it's all about. This is just a front for
yeah,
250 Max. We all
listen,
know it.
much love to Evan Arias and the Shredded Bro team. I listen, there was a time in my life in my 20s where like, we'd pile 5 people into a motel room and I'd sleep in the bathtub and it was totally fine. And listen, now in my 40s, I have become a fancy person and I have certain standards, all right, and that's fine.
Gotta get rid
It's
of
just
those.
a different stage, in our lives. Okay, it's fine. It doesn't impact anything. It was great. It was wonderful. Yes, my towel was wet every single morning. Why? Why did someone use my towel? I don't know. Okay, there were no towels in there. I had to go buy a towel. Okay. Anyway, it's fine. It's fine. I lived. I survived. Okay, it was great.
The
gotta
Tuscan
bring back
hotel
heavyweights.
that they put teams up in, pretty nice. Dry towels. Dry as bone towels.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't put the teams up. They gave you a stipend to book at that hotel that they have a block for. We took the money and put it into the robot, and we stayed out at the edge of the desert. Okay, there were no houses beyond us. Okay, it was just like skeletons. Okay, ancient skeletons out in the desert, like beyond the house. Okay.
Yeah, I do want to highlight this as well because when I remember with Mammoth, we went up to the Ferris wheel and like did a little revolution at night, and like all the lights there. I looked out and I just saw civilization and then the abyss. There is nothing beyond Las Vegas. It is death. It's death incarnate. There is no difference between like the mountain, the valley, the sky. It's just black wall. And then like parties up until that point. It's nuts. Vegas is an odd place.
There were
monument to
tumbleweeds
man's
going down
arrogance.
our street. Okay, all right.
So true.
Um,
Exactly.
And the crazy thing is like we talked to our good friend Tony D'Ambrosio and he's like, oh yeah, we pooled our money together. We got like a Tony Stark house up in the mountains. Like yeah, everything's neon. Okay,
The
and
Omega house.
Yeah, it's
we
a
have so
compound.
much food. Everybody has their own bedroom. I'm like salivating. Okay, I'm like, you're telling me it's dry? Is it dry up there? Yeah.
The
Anyway,
only
it's fine.
place in Vegas that's damp, I guess, was your Airbnb.
No, it's because I bought a towel. No one else bought towels. Okay, they were all using my towel after I left. Okay.
Season 8. Win season 8.
Literally, okay,
Win
I'm
season
telling
8.
you, I can't even tell you. Okay, when I walked into the room, which I shared with Remy. Okay, love you, Remy. I was like, "Where's the blanket?" It was just a mattress, you guys. It was a mattress with no sheet. Okay, I had to buy sheets for my own Airbnb bed. All right.
Man, Luke, the trauma. We're gonna miss that trauma, Luke. That's gonna be good. We'll have to like make new traumas to share here.
It looked like a field hospital. Like I'd come out, people were they had crammed so many beds into this house. Like there was like a landing that would overlook the living room. People, of course, was sleeping in the living room, and the landing had like 4 beds on it. It was like we were in war. Okay, it was just anyway. Yeah, so there you go.
Rapid fire.
Rapid
That's a
fire.
couple that's gonna win. Very
Rapid
cool.
fire.
Rapid fire. Yeah.
Rapid fire.
All right. I
Is
got
there
it.
an episode you wish you'd got into do, but just never ended up doing it? So like a dream guest or something.
Well,
This asked
I'll
multiple
just
people,
say
by the way. Multiple people asked this
Sure.
one.
Yeah.
there is a never ever released episode of Behind the Bots that we ultimately decided
Whoa.
that we did not upload, and that will be lost forever in the coffers of history.
Yes.
Yes. No big on that one. Stays dead forever. New era. Burn the trenches. Very cool.
Whoa.
Let's
There's
see.
also a robots around the world that we can't release either.
That's so true.
yeah.
It was too dark.
Whoa.
We all got together afterward. We were like, "No, we can't put this out. No, this is."
Whoa.
We had to
There
agree.
you go. There's some lore.
See, the hard part was the next question: what is the most memorable or terrifying robots around the world story? But I feel like by nature of what you just said, it implies the answer, or at the very least, any given answer has to stay just a little under.
Mine would
I'll
be
tell you my
whenever.
favorite. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
Mine is whenever Lindsay would go on her drones crashing into mountains tangent. They're just like, she's there. We're going to talk about the drones crashing into mountains again. It's going to light up the whole mountain. Devastation, forest fires. You know.
It's an environmental disaster, Lindsay. All right.
It is not. It's not an environmental disaster. The drones are very precise. They fly. When they're done, they go
crash.
back. They go back home. They go back to their base, not litter the mountains. It's a precise.
They all go back to their wet Airbnb.
I was thinking about this question. My favorite robot was the robot who leads the cursed existence of scaring away seagulls on a ship. Okay, literally, it's like a Sisyphean task of just like every day I wake up and I scare the seagulls away. Okay, literally, I can't leave the ship. I can't leave the ship. Okay, like I wish for death every day because I just go out and I scare the seagulls away and they like poop on me and it's just like it's the worst. It's the worst job I can think of on a ship and they gave it to a robot. I worry about that robot.
So does that robot then fit into the whole vision we have about AI and robots taking over? Is that a job?
No,
That'd be
because
better
the
for the
robots
robot.
are making art. Stop making art, robots. Just work on menial tasks, okay? Like if you need a seagull
He just
robot,
readjusted
yes,
himself.
that's
Did you see
fine.
that?
AI Luke inbound.
One last crash out. One last crash out.
Let's
Oh,
go.
One last crash
for
out.
more. There's room for
One
more.
last crash out.
There'll always be more crash outs
Thank
coming.
you. There will be more. This is only the beginning of the crash outs on this channel.
You should
Oh,
like
jeez.
Luke should call in to the show once a month and you reserve like crash out corner with
Yeah.
Luke and he just gets to come on,
And
crash
just
out
bring
about
me
something.
say
You should bring me
anything.
the robot you're most optimistic about, and I'll tell you why it's terrible. All right.
That's our robots around the world segment continuation. Where it's kind of like a grand, like robots around the world of the month or episode grouping, whatever. And we're like, okay, we found it out. Everyone agrees. Excellent idea. We want Luke to come on. Looks like this is how you just doomed humanity in a new and exciting way.
Yeah.
So next, we have from Alex Pick, Builder of Zane, 1/4 of the Battle Tots, and Team Pandemonium writes, and others echo this as well. What fascinating hobbies outside of fighting robots have always been going for you all? And what are you going to do next after the podcast?
Huh.
as you say?
Fascinating hobbies for me would be, I guess, a lot of dadding. I'm pretty into it. I got two little ones that like are really into stuff now, like learning how to ride bikes, and my son's setting up his first computer for the first time, so I'm getting into that with him. So that's that doing a lot of that. I'm doing a whole lot of the dadding these days, and I enjoy it. It's all encompassing. So I'll take on other hobbies later, but right now all of my hobbies are kind of wrapped around my kids' hobbies, and that's fine. I'm learning about jujitsu right now, so that's cool.
That's wholesome and very cool.
I also love being a dad. I highly recommend it if you're so inclined and that's what you want to do. It's been the best thing ever. I talked about it a little bit online, but like my partner and I, we bought a second home in Japan that we're very excited about. So like we're gonna be doing a bunch of Japanese stuff for 5 to 6 months out of the year for a while, and that is bringing a lot of joy. We want to travel and see basically everything in the country. Like we kind of hit like the Golden Triangle, and we want to go see all of the kind of tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 cities. There's a lot of weird stuff to see in Japan. I'm really like a big fan of weird travel. So for example, I was supposed to go this past week to see my relatives who live in Fukushima, and I was looking at like the Google map near their house, and I was like, oh, no way, what is this? It's just called the Sad Gundam. The Sad Gundam. And I clicked on it and I read about it, and it's the saddest Gundam you've ever seen. And he's tiny, and he's got kind of like this kind of hunched like demeanor, and he looks sad. And that's what I want to go see. I want to go see all of the sad Gundams in Japan. And that's where I'm going to be. All right. When you think about me, just like think, oh, he's probably eating conveyor belt sushi and looking at sad Gundams,
That's gonna be a parting image of you, Luke. The sad Gundam.
Good.
We have some exciting things that we are up to. We have started a little side hustle where we have a vintage store pop up in like a vintage store where we are selling like mid-century modern furniture and vintage artwork and
80s and 90s nostalgia.
Yeah, nostalgia stuff. And it's been really fun, like going to auctions and getting stuff that we think are interesting. It's fun because it allows me to buy stuff, but now I don't have to have the stuff. I can now sell the stuff, so it's like best of both worlds. We have a lot of house projects going on. I don't want to take away your thunder, but we're gonna be building a chicken coop. And we have a chicken hookup because I know chickens are hard to come by now, if you can believe it. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about finally having time to tend to our backyard. I'm a big gardener, and for both vegetables, but also a really big believer in native plants. If you have any interest in native plants, I will talk to you about it for hours if you so choose. Native plants are the only thing that will allow our earth to continue existing because pollinators need them. And Chris just got me a Nikon Z30 camera. And photography has always been like a budding passion of mine. I used to play around with my mom's cameras. She was a wildlife photographer. So I'm really, really excited to take that. And I love moss and ferns and the forest. And I'm just going to go disappear into the woods with the camera and not come out for potentially days. So I'm really looking forward to that, and thank you for that amazing surprise.
I'm in some of these hobbies as well.
We do a lot of things
when is
together.
Dark Side coming back? That's what people
We
want
need
to
what
know.
side? Alternate side?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
When are they
Let me-
coming?
We know
hold
your
on.
answers. We got to get an answer now.
what was it, V4?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. When's the last qualifier? Was that like November?
November, right? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe September or November of 2026.
So we're gonna
That's
see you
long.
at next event.
No, I am.
That's
I'm
too
working on a
long.
robot right now. It's my
Let's go.
very first Beetle.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I'm building a 3-pound robot. Big shout out to some of the folks that have given me some really awesome supplies, including Seth and Peter. Thank you.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
Breaking news.
Breaking live on the pod. Love it.
Yeah. So I'm into some of the same things. We're gonna build the chicken coop together, but I'm also into like smart garden tech. So I have like an aeroponics system that I've been working on for the last couple of years, which like delivers nutrient water to plants up these vertical columns. I have like a self-regulating dehydrator that I've been working on for the last a couple of years that you can have like big trays of stuff that dehydrates. Outside of that, I mean, our biggest thing is that we're also the founders of a new guild in the Western Hemisphere's largest LARP community called Beacoline. The name of our guild is the Nameless Circus. And that's exactly what we're a troupe of 10 roustabouts, musicians, chefs, and everything. And we have a big platform up in Canada. Thousands and thousands of people pour into this big LARP event where it is totally immersive, no technology. You have to be in character. You have to be in costume. Don't mess around. And so, like, we're going to be up there for, a couple of weekends this summer and then 9 days in August where we're just going to put on banquet feasts and play music and walk around and hopefully not get killed with foamy arrows.
Guys, we need a vlog of that. You need to have, listen, if you're not going to if you cannot directly affect the immersion by bringing technology, then pay a robot to fly above your head and record it for you.
You're thinking.
You'd have to disguise the drone to be like a dragon.
You're gonna make Luke go off again. Another crash out.
He's
The
holding
cra-
it
the
in
third of this
poorly.
stream.
Why limit the crash outs at this
Just
point?
crashing out.
Why limit the crash out? We're building up crash outs, not limiting them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Crash out, Bandicoot.
Oh man, I
No
mean,
one knows that reference.
I got it.
I mean, there are a ton of questions. That part's for sure. But I will
have
also
6 more
Good.
pages of questions.
Yeah. I mean, well, okay. So I will add this as well. So a large amount of the phrases and comments that we have that was compiled are just many, many thank yous. Because you all have been such fundamentally wonderful, wonderful, wonderful at building up this both community around the pod itself, and even just you've been able to be present at Motorama, Franklin, and NHRL, other travels as well. And so there's just pages and pages and pages of all these nice comments and words. So the only limitation is we do know that we can't run forever, unfortunately. I'm sure people out there would be like, give us an 8-hour stream. And it's like, you know what? Fair. Maybe later. But we know, not now.
I'm so tired after 2 hours, dog.
Yeah.
I'm zoning out. I'm gonna be real.
A lot.
Yeah. Okay. I'm locked in.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I will kind of put a bow on what I said at the top, which is just like, you have been so, it's just such an incredible addition to our lives. And we are so grateful that you allowed us to be part of your community. And for us as fans of the sport, we moved, I think, beyond the sport and really became fans of you. So like, that is kind of like where the passion sits and like where we are really looking forward to still seeing all of you. I want to bring my terribly built robots to the pits and have you come over and help me fix them and kind of tell me what I'm doing wrong. And I want to fight against all of my friends, in the sport. you know, want to come and help support your events and, you know, come and call fights for fun, like at Moto, and be a judge and just kind of like be, be more of a builder and kind of community member. Like I think like for us, we've got this really deep passion for the sport, and we haven't really been able to participate like really in the way that we want to, just because you know, like it's just not really possible with our roles at NHRL. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next chapter of this. And it's not goodbye; it is I will see you soon. And thanks so much for listening and tuning in and being our friends. So it's been the best. Thank you.
To just jump on that, like I would agree. This is definitely not the end of us. I like to say that we're going to enter our Conan O'Brien era. You know, like post Tonight Show, and you know you're still going to see us. It's just the format, and you know, some of the context is going to change a bit, and I think that is going to be a lot of fun to just be able to dive in. Maybe you'll see us pop up in Brazil or the UK, or maybe we'll be at an event near you, and that's a lot of it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to allow us to meet a lot of folks that we have never met before. And I think that's going to keep it, you know, engaging and interesting for us, and hopefully, while we're like now actually members of the community, inside the community, we can do our part to help maintain buoyancy within the community in a sport that's changing very fast. And I think that we're better stewards on that side of the fence.
I think anything I have to say here will just make me cry. So just know how much you all mean to me.
And sorry if we didn't get to your question or your very nice note. We just got a ton of them, and you know, like I read every single one of them. I appreciate every single one of them. I appreciate all of you. I'm like so lucky that like we have met and we're friends with like 95% of people who sent in questions. So lots of time for us to talk about all this other stuff like in the future. So good.
Yeah, I mean,
And Jake and Brandon, like you are gonna do great, and I can't wait to tune in as a fan. And hopefully, you'll have us on at some point, if you'll allow it. So yeah, you'll probably hear us again on the show at some point.
is there anything, you know, you guys want to share about like your vision for the show? Any like big goals that you have? Anything that you want to tell people who are listening right now who are interested in like what the new version of the show will look like? Yeah, anything you want to, you know, tease them with ahead of time?
I hope to be.
If not, that's fine.
Oh, okay. I mean,
We got plans, but go on, Jake. Go on.
so the biggest difference is that Brandon and I will always be competitors first, and we have built the way that this looks and the way that we're operating it. You know, we're operating it as a live stream to maintain our balance between competitive builders and also podcast hosts. So we're looking at doing it every other week. The next one we've got scheduled will be for the 22nd. The only reason why that got moved up is because I fight in May. And then, yeah, hopefully we're going to be bringing what Luke kind of explained to us in our first meeting, which is highlighting the most interesting people in the sport at the time. I hope to be bringing a little bit more, with the visual. We can bring a lot more like breakdown and stuff like that. But that's kind of the direction that we're going in. You want to add to that, Brendan?
Yeah, because something I've always enjoyed, and it's sort of my own personal goal best I can, is I have looked at I enjoy robot combat media just at large. So on YouTube, for example, my algorithm is heavily skewed because I try to study as best as possible builders all across the world because as they present their robots and the way and styles they do it is very good, but they also want to go visit them. So like notably, I've gone to California a few times to fight there. I'll be fighting in May, just not in NHL. I'll be fighting at RCL over in the West Coast because I really wanted to run back against Kabuli Tango since fighting against him in like August of 2023. And then Luke's for there at Pepe, which is going to be horrifying. But the intention is that as we get to go around the different communities, understand that we also want to reflect on the community as a whole, which is a really big part of it as well. We are biased in a sense because primarily Eastern, well, I guess Midwestern, sort of Northern United States. So we're going to be biased towards those events. And to their credit, a lot of them do happen in that section of the country too. But we also want to take great care to reflect on the many goings-ons across the country. We know that there's already the vibrant scene of SCAR over in the West Coast. There's AR scene like Arizona, RSL, Merca, different leagues all across even just the United States. I personally love to follow the RoboCore, our Brazilian series as a whole. RoboCore is a big part of it. But their scenes are incredible. There's a reason why whenever they show up to the United States and kick our butts, that there's a reason for it. R.I.P. Jake.
Just 0-2, stone cold against Brazil.
Yeah.
Messed up twice now.
They jack us up, and there's a reason why. We sort of summarize it as a whole, coming like, well, it's just Brazil. So there's a reason why it's Brazil. You know, there's a reason why they are the way they are, and the reason why their bots are so good. There are scenes. Obviously, I was able to compete with Bristol bot builders in the UK with Sportsman, but they also have a vibrant. Their ant weight's 150 grams, fairy weight US series. Their beetle weight series are sport. They're building at 12 pounders. They're the only other consistent live events for heavyweights in the Northern Hemisphere that we're like keenly aware of. I know there's some events that happen in like parts of, like I know in like South Asia, like I know in India they do stuff. They're trying to build up scenes, and people from Turkey, I remember they were doing stuff. I remember when Elaine Wu was on here, she's talking about building up the scene in China. Really big deal there. People in New Zealand, people in Australia, like the world. The beauty that we get to see in this time period is the robot builders across the world are doing cool stuff. And then the beauty of then bringing that back to audiences and like, hey, there's a reason why we are seeing these robot designs sort of. You think of it as we have our culture that we sort of have. It's very, very localized. But because of the great beauty that is social media and YouTube and all that kind of stuff, it's then exported across the world, and they can share it back too. And that globalism that we get to see from robotics is fascinating because we learn that each series, as we've seen before, has their own tones, their own different views, expectations, and relationships to their robots. And that gets to be reflected as well because then you see, okay, their robots are styled this way because they view their robots this way, which comes from the whole background of the people who are doing it this way. And like we were saying before, as you understand the people behind the bots are just the expression of that, the beautiful outlet. Name drop. The people are the reflection. The people are building the robots. The robots reflect that. And as you get to learn about them in what's like a very, pretty universal, easy outlet, fighting robots, you smash stuff. You get to see the whole great pantheon that is humanity getting shown in that. And that's what we want to focus on. And other ways to share that are just, outlets of that. Like Jake said before, we're big fans of building in sports. So that's why we try to have like the viewing stuff on there. Because you want people to show up and be like, hey, I know you remember your fights in early. Here's something I noticed during your fights. And because we're also builders, we want to be able to talk about that. Like I mentioned before earlier in the pod, if you fight a certain style, it generally comes from you being a certain way, and that gets reflected in your robots. I'm sure people can probably notice that, like Tom Farkas, the impressive Tom Farkas, with Positively Hysterical and all the robots of the ilk, they have their own certain style of how they want to approach stuff, and that's reflective of Tom himself. That can vary very much from much more meta shapes that someone might see. And then even in college groups, like Jason noted, like UCCR, in my case with UMD, you have people who are building up not only individuals but also groups and how they get shaped by it. I remember when Ryan and Anhad were here for MIT and talking about like the resurgence of that group after COVID, and that sort of like laid low the program until it came back up again. That was its own story of resiliency that we got to really enjoy listening to. And to see all of that and be able to use this as a method to do that, YouTube being really useful, but still keeping up the audio part as well, and then sort of, as best we can, trying to enhance it. We want to capture all that kind of stuff. It's really, really cool. And I personally have a goal of trying to create a massive tome of like this robot knowledge. Myself personally, that's why I make the blog, my own website. So I want to have these enormous records someone could stumble upon someday and be like, wow, like a wizard in like a castle or something. But I also want people to be able to listen to it and see it and be like, okay, this is a really cool sport, something I want to get into. And I think people mentioned before already, even in this own pod, be the people that you wanted to see when you were young. Because BattleBots is in its infancy, as was the internet. We're 20 years down the line on both of those things, and there's much more that can be done for it. And so that kind of future is when we want to build. So we're doing the pod. We're terrified, though. They just handed us their firstborn child. That's a lot of weight. We are keenly aware that we are stepping into a tradition of its own right, one that was built very humbly, but has risen to notoriety among many in the community. And so don't hate us. We don't want you to hate us. If we win a Brett, there's going to be a yap session for sure. But even outside of like our own personal achievements, we'll probably talk about as well on the pod. You sort of get the benefit of self-generation with these robots here. That being able to reach out and then build up the growing robot combat community, making it something big, and the great beauty that it can hold, and seeing it all play out.
That was beautiful. That
That
was
was
really well said.
That is the direction for the show. Yes.
With that.
Yes, I agree to everything. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think one of the last things that you touched on was tradition.
Yeah.
And maybe with that, you get a little trial by fire of tradition here. Where after the break, this week's installment of Robots Around the World.
Okay.
I love it. I love it so much.
I need to
You have to
add
freeze.
I
You have to freeze.
don't have any of the soundboard stuff. I'll build that out.
Doom, doom,
I
doom,
completely
doom, doom. There we go.
One last one. Take it away.
I can't believe this is my last Robots Around the World, but here we are. Time now for Robots Around the World. This week, we're traveling to Osaka, where Kawasaki Heavy Industries has unveiled a robotic horse called Corleo. Okay, in a concept video, people are seen riding Corleo as it climbs a rocky mountain, gallops through a forest, and jumps over a small stream, just like a real horse. Kawasaki says Corleo is still in its R&D phase, with no immediate plans to begin selling robot horses to the public. Emphasis on immediate because we know it's coming. It's happening. The company unveiled Corleo at the World Expo in Osaka, which opened this past weekend and will run for the next 6 months. So, robot dogs, not nearly scary enough. Humanoid robots, not nearly. Let's take one of the most powerful animals out there. And,
The horse?
yeah.
The most powerful animal out there?
They measure cars and horsepower.
Oh my god, that is... You just blew my mind.
I mean, they don't measure it in donkey power.
They should.
Corleo
It's
is one horsepower.
It's like inches and centimeters. In certain parts of the world, they measure by donkey power.
Anything but the metric system, dude.
I just want you to know that I'm so comfortable with this. This is totally fine, and I'm okay with it. All right, I embrace it. I think it's great.
What they don't tell you is that the first people that are actually going to ride it are going to be military robots. So now you just have full military knights that are, I don't know.
Isn't this how
Trolling.
like Genghis Khan conquered everything?
This would only work in Canada.
I'm just saying, if you're like, I'm just saying, like, if Mongolia invests in this, couldn't they just like reconquer most of Russia?
I was going more like mounted, Canadian Mounties, but
Oh, of course.
that's Genghis Khan, Robocon. That's terrifying.
Okay, so like how the robots can't move from room to room, you have to physically move them. Remember?
Just centaur her body on top of the
Yeah.
horse.
Yeah, now to solve that, you put her on top of a Corleo and she arrives to you.
Centaur bot.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's terrifying.
I have to use that mental model because I can't accept yet that there are military humanoids mounted atop potentially military robo horses. I don't like this. This is worst case scenario. I feel like
This is fine. Everything is totally fine. Okay? In 50 years from now, when you can go and buy a robotic horse and you can be a, cowboy out on the range, okay, with your Corleo, everything's fine. Okay?
Watching the
Except
demo of this thing,
it won't be
you know-
human soldiers. It's gonna be humanoid robot soldiers. Okay, riding on top of these horses. All right, like they have mobility advantages over cars. Okay, because you can just silently make your way through any terrain possible.
I mean a car can't jump over a small stream.
Not with
No.
that attitude.
No, yeah. And I would encourage you to watch the Corleo reveal video because it
Yeah.
is deeply unsettling.
I watched it like
And,
twice. You know that thing is just like people are it's gonna be like a Cybertruck rollout where it's just like people are so excited to get this new flashy thing, and then it's just gonna die in a ditch somewhere,
Yeah.
or it's gonna biff
I'm
it.
a big
going over,
believer
like,
in rideable robots. I think it's coming. I think it's happening. Are you watching it right now?
I'm looking at a photo. I wasn't expecting it to not have a head.
You don't need a head.
why would it have a head?
You think robot horse, you think that it has a head. This is
It's
larger robot dog, but larger and more powerful.
1 horsepower.
yeah.
Um,
No, I'm a big believer in rideable robots, but I think we're gonna go in like the Iron Giant like kind of direction where you kind of like crawl up onto its back and it goes bounding through the forest, just crashing through trees. It's gonna be perfect. It's gonna be great. Everything's fine. There's no cause for concern here whatsoever. It is okay that we are making large robotic animals and infusing them with AI that will no doubt allow them to make decisions independently. And, like when we are fighting in the streets over, water against the oligarchs and they just send out these all black kind of blacked out private military forces on these things, it's going to be fine. Everything's going to be great.
You can lead a robot
I'm
horse.
gonna be
Listen,
80
dude,
and I'm gonna be
the
whittling.
future's coming.
okay?
Embrace it. Run from it. You got 2 choices. I'm embracing it, Luke.
You can't afford a
is the new
Corleo
direction.
on universal basic income.
Of
Okay.
the pod is we're embracing the robotic downfall.
2055. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be whittling, and you guys are gonna have to be
Whittling.
pooling your universal basic income to get 1 Corleo. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
you're gonna be whittling in a tiny cabin in the forest, and you're gonna say, "What's that sound? Is there an animal in the forest coming
Is
near
there
me?"
one? Is there one
know.
remaining
It's a
biologic
Corleo.
horse?
It's a Corleo jumping over that small stream.
Yep. Listen, I know how I go out. Okay, I don't die in my sleep. Okay, there's gonna be a robot sticking a hot lance through me. Okay, all right.
Waking you up, and then
Yeah.
then it's over.
Yeah, they'll find the footage. They'll be like, "Ah, yeah, these people. They celebrated our deaths in the past. All right, we're gonna crush their skulls like pineapples. All right."
We could have ended on a really high note. We could have just
No.
thrown our history with robots around the world in the past and ended
No.
with, something wonderful. But no, hot lances through our skulls, crushed like pineapples.
Extrajudicial robotic killings. Yes, exactly. All right.
Don't give him any ideas, Luke.
I'll be telling like, the whatever comes after Gen Alpha, like, listen, this place used to be called America, okay? All right. And I was born into this place. We had this constitution.
Do you have any
We had
usable kidneys?
human rights, okay?
Do you have any usable kidneys?
All right.
Please sit down.
They're calling them Gen Beta, and you won't be able to talk to them. They'll be too busy riding you to your doom on headless horses. So yeah it'll be fine.
Hey,
No,
hey,
it's totally
hey, guys.
Excuse me, young man.
Hey, guys. Hey. A Corleo walks into a bar. The bartender says, "Hey, why the no face?"
Good,
All right,
good,
chat, boo this man.
All right, Chris, take us home one last time.
That about does it for us. Brandon and Jake will be back in your feed soon with a very exciting debut of episodes for Behind the Bots Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. On behalf of Luke, Lindsay, Kyle, and myself, thank you so much for tuning in over the last 6 years. And remember that this is, and always will be Behind the Bots, the podcast that brings you the stories of the builders behind the bots.
Thank you.
Love
guys.
you. Bye.
Love you.
Bye.